Rock Dwarf? Sure. Let's do it.
Rock Dwarf.
Rock Dwarf. Who doesn't?
Rockdwarf.com.
Who doesn't want to go?
T-shirts.
Who doesn't want to go to a Rock Dwarf?
Get your t-shirts at rockdwarf.com. Twitter handle at rockdwarf. Coming to a theater near you.
There you go. Well done. All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
All right. So we're gonna fire up XO here, and sort of a couple of like general warnings. So we're super pre-alpha. We're actually less than 7 months of total development. And of course, since this is a demo, it's almost certain that something is going to crash or go horribly, horribly wrong. I think that's the rule. The ship that we have under our control right now is called the Traveler. It's a battleship, and it's sort of like the hero of the game, the badass of the game. And you can just kind of drag select any ship that you want. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of zoom in and take a little look at this guy here, hopefully, and get a little better look. So we have full 3D controls over the camera, but the game is actually on a 2D plane because we think it's better to do it that way. So at this point, if I want to issue a movement command, all I have to do is right-click anywhere, and the ship will go ahead and fire its way off towards that. Oh my God, a carrier just came in. I just picked the worst possible place to go to. Which is actually a great opportunity for me to show you how to change waypoints. So if I grab this waypoint and say, actually, I really don't want to go there. I want to go away from that guy because he's going to thrash me. You'll notice that my movements are limited. I can't just like turn around and just say like, wait, stop. And that's because we're modeling Newtonian physics to a certain degree. So now that my ship has got momentum, the best bet for me is to like actually carry on past him and get out of here, which I'm going to do. I'm going to run away. As soon as this guy stops, I'll throw in a multiple waypoint so you can kind of see what that looks like. So to do that, I hold down the shift key and just right click and set different waypoints, and you can see how that works. What's groovy is you've got this countdown up here that tells you when you're going to arrive on target, which is kind of helpful, especially if you're, oh look, I'm gathering resources. That's what happens when you get nice and close to a planet. So we've got some fighters coming in. We'll probably trash those guys pretty quickly since it's relatively early. Let me do something here. Let me jump out of here. So I'm going to spin up my drives. I have enough fuel, so I'm going to spin up my drives and just kind of leave before things get a little hairy. Once the drives are spun and I've jumped, I go to a different sort of space where things aren't in real time. I can sort of stop and think and make careful chin considering decisions. We're now in Jumpspace, so we've got all these options here. So a couple of things that I'm most interested in, and I definitely want to show you guys, are formations, which I think are pretty cool. So you drag whatever ships you want in your formation into this hex grid, and the ships will actually follow that in the game when you issue the movement commands. And they're pretty dynamic, so we've got multiple ones. So if I go ahead and pull in different ships, when I'm playing the game in real space, I can command these guys very quickly, and they will assume these formations. And if there's the same ship in different formations, when you select the new formation, they'll automatically join that formation. So here are all my ships. Woohoo! If I hit the 1 button, that selects all the guys who were in the 1 formation, and the 2 button, that's the 2 formation. Set those guys over here and there. So it's really super simple to do different kinds of movements with commands, and this guy wasn't added, so he's our lone little runner. So we'll go out here and see what there is to do here. This guy needs some help. Oh my gosh, he's under attack. We better help. All right, so I'm going to quickly select my 1 group and go over to these fighters and do a flank. That seems a little excessive. Just a straight attack on these guys. Then I'm going to select the 2nd group and do some kind of a groovy attack here. And they'll all come blasting in to destroy and kill as they get up to speed. and take pot shots at the carrier as they go by.
Sucker.
Yes. So, we're going to have about 100 different event types at least in the game that you come across. This one is a ship that just needs to be rescued. And now that he's been rescued, now that we destroyed all the fighters, he has joined our fleet. Hooray.
What kind is it?
This looks like a refinery ship. And those are super useful. They allow you to take one kind of resource and transmogrify it. Now we're going to jump over to the star map and choose a proper destination.
So are those the
right here.
things that you cannot see outside? Is that the true border of the star map, or as you move forward, do more things generate?
Yeah, there's a much bigger star map.
Got it.
And in fact, you can't do it right now, but you will soon be able to zoom out and see
Nice.
a bigger star map that are going to have kind of regions that'll give you some things that you might want to go to, things you might want to avoid. But right now it's just this. So if I were to go here, it'll generate more.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so you can see there's a bunch of different kinds of planets, and we've actually modeled the planets after quasi-real data that we've got. So these are all supposedly the real kinds of planets that there are in the universe. So we've got gas giants and Earth-sized planets that may or may not have atmosphere, super giants, and I'm just going to click around until I find some other cool ones. Dwarf planets and habitable planets and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to set my jump point, and obviously the different planets have different resource collection rates, and later they'll tell you kind of what sort of missions or options that you might find there. So there might be a research station or a mining station or things like that. So they'll help you guide your way as you go. So now that I've set my jump point, I can exit, and that will actually take me to the new place.
Ryan, I have a good question for you.
Yeah, bring it on.
Will there be a quick hop/wave scenario like the episode 33 1/3 from Battlestar Galactica?
Oh, whoever asked that question, I love you. I actually kind of like one of the prime inspirations for this game was 33, and yes, one of my huge goals for us is to capture the feeling, that intensity, that craziness that went on in 33, where you're just like being pursued constantly. And if we sit here, like, enemies are being dispatched at us. So here comes a big bunch of fighters, and they are eventually going to thrash us. We can't just sit here forever. So this is obviously under heavy balance at the moment, but they're just going to keep coming, and we cannot stop. So just spin up and get out of here so life can go on. As sort of our social fabric is getting torn apart because this enemy is coming in and abducting everybody and blowing everything up, some people rise to the challenge, and they're going to be awesome and heroic and fantastic, and other people just kind of lose it and either kind of work actively against you or break down and cause other problems. So one of your jobs as the commander of the fleet is to figure out what's going on and who's having problems and try and deal with them. So we have this whole intel section in the game where you can kind of look at your different ships. Wow, that's really big. And you have a dossier section, which is going to show you your problem people and also your heroic people, and allow you to do things with them. So some of the things that you'll be able to do would be to transfer them to other ships. And you would never do this if you were planning on like leaving a ship behind and loading it up with all those real annoying people. You would never do that, ever. But you can transfer people. Reassign them. This is probably my favorite job to reassign somebody to, the airlock sanitizer. This is kind of the ultimate demotion. You can give them a pep talk or give them a reason to kind of go on. This could include like sending them over to the cruise liner and giving them like a perk.
Spa day.
Yes. Discipline's also an option here. We can confine somebody to quarters, bust them down, throw them in the brig, which is always useful. You can give them an award. And the last thing, which I think is one of the the things that is super fun is you can nominate them to your council, and you only have a limited number of people on your council. And basically what happens is if they have a power, like this guy's got kind of a cruddy power, he's going to reduce your decision timers, which is bad. But if I were to promote this guy to my council, this would become now then like a fleet-wide effect. So at the moment on our council, we've got two people on our council, and this is all sort of placeholder text at the moment, but we have a counselor on the one hand who's very dovish and looking more for natural kind of human responses to any kind of a solution or emergency that comes up, and then we have the Marine who is a little bit more aggressive and is definitely going to be giving you more military kinds of options. And as you go through the game, certain events will throw different kind of choices your way, and you have to decide, am I going to follow the counselor's advice? Am I going to follow the Marine's advice? Am I going to listen to none of them? So the problem is if you don't listen to a certain person on your council's advice enough, they're going to get really mad, and they're going to kind of betray you. So you've got to play this sort of political game and listen to both of them and decide which option is the best given the existing sort of circumstances or kind of what's going on. So wow, they need food. Yeah, if there's any fans of silent running, there's some inspiration there for you. Unfortunately, we don't have enough fuel to help them out. So what we do have is an option from our counselor. So as long as we've got a counselor in our on our council, we get this option. So she's going to say, hey, maybe you'd be better off coming with us. And there they go. Later. No, actually, they've gone ahead to the jump point, and they will join us later.
So one of the questions was, are there any politics / negotiations with the enemies? So I want to talk maybe a little bit about who the enemy is.
We're not saying who the enemy is.
Exactly.
So I thought about this for a long time, and I actually think it's spookier not to know who the enemy is. I think it's better not to know. In this game, the enemies come after us. They're not here to negotiate. They're not negotiating. They're not answering. They're not talking. They're killing and they're taking. And that's all they're doing. And I think that that's awful and terrible and scary. That's much scarier than like, oh, please, won't you, there's like none of that.
Well, also they're taking because your ships don't blow up, right?
Yeah. So pirates will blow up your ships. You can blow up your ships, but the enemy's not going to blow up your ships. The enemy's going to disable your ships and then send out this nasty thing called the harvester and go and bolt onto your ship, to that disabled ship, and suck the people off of it. It's kind of bad in general. Kind of bad. And then you like secretly. So I'm going to just for fun, I'm going to outfit this ship with some flak cannons. I haven't shown the equipping. So basically, I sort of drag and drop things. And if you can see, round things only go in round pegs and square, which helps you sort of identify. These are my
entire life.
Right?
Square holes,
That's
square-
right. We start them young just to talk about an Ender's Game, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a light laser and a medium laser. If I have plans, which would show up here, I can actually replicate any of these things, which will be really helpful, assuming that I've got enough raw materials and fuel and time and all that good stuff. So I just want to watch the Excalibur take out these fighters. It's got 3 flak cannons on it, so it should just absolutely munch them. This is so satisfying.
Whoa, nice.
Goodbye, fighters. Thank you for playing.
That was sick.
And then do the different colors on the spinning graphics represent different resources being gathered?
They do. We actually just implemented this about 3 hours ago. No kidding. This is the first time I've seen the different color effect. The resource collection, we'll probably do a little bit of modification to this effect. It's only a day old. But we do want it visually to show, you know, sort of like the different resources you're collecting. So right now we're collecting fuel. Fuel is the purple color. Look at it. We're just torching those guys. Flag cannons are good.
Yes, they are. OP.
Yeah.
OPXO.
You might need to nerf those just a little bit, I'm thinking.
And I noticed you implemented a feature 3 hours ago and it didn't crash, which, you know, for game development is super impressive.
Thank you. That is really cool of you to say. I really appreciate that. And part of it is because the guys who are working on this are absolutely awesome. Part of it is also we have like a really good testing methodology. We've got a test. We do integration tests and unit tests and all kinds of tests to make sure that when we make a change, we're not blowing stuff up, because I don't know about you, but I hate broken games. I guess one thing that I didn't talk about are the behavior of these the fighters. They actually follow sort of swarming, interesting behaviors, and you will be able to sort of corral them into the equivalent of like bait balls, and they will have kind of interesting behaviors that if you can figure it out, you can kind of corral them and push them around and move them into places where they're more easily destroyed. And say goodbye to this carrier.
Yeah, you've done.
Just in time for another one to show up too. How nice.
It looked like it just like shed its skin.
I know.
Oh wow, you wasted that one.
Yeah, you totally obliterated it.
So yeah, thanks for watching.
Huge thank you to all the backers out there.
Yeah.
We're really grateful of your support. Thank you, and excited to see you guys complete those backer missions. Woo!